the PDR in Pink Collagen Capsule Cream, the Deep Vitamin C Capsule Cream, Tranexamic Acid and Niacinamide Capsule Cream, and the Hyaluronic Acid Capsule Cream. So does this capsule cream technology really make for a better, more innovative moisturizer? I wanna find out, and I'm gonna break down how this capsule cream is formulated and see if this really is genius innovation or just a product uniquely packaged for a more captivating experience. I did find this video. It's a TikTok by Zandy Sutton. So let's watch it because all credit goes to Zandy Sutton for helping continuously inspire me to make this video, because the method that Zandy uses, I'm gonna take that and hopefully maybe improve it. I don't know. It's also gonna be an experiment. We're gonna see how it works out. Okay, so let's watch.
So like I mentioned in the previous video, that this gel cream is essentially made of two components, the cream and the gel. I created the cream and made it slightly yellow, and I got the gel in pink. And then for the equipment that I used, it was just the scissors, the silicone spatula, and a piping bag. I cut just a small tip on the bag to squeeze out filling through, and it was time to pipe. I realized I may need to remove some gel from the jar so I can pipe my first layer of cream, and then I started. And let me tell you how nervous I was, because I was doing this for the first time, and if it didn't work, y'all were just gonna watch the fail shame, because I was really winging the entire process, which was basically based on a guess that I had in mind. But when the cream was actually capsuling through, I got so chuffed, and you should have seen the big smile on my face at this moment. I was actually very slow and meticulous about this, but the whole thing was actually coming together. So the first layer was done. I proceeded to add a bit more gel for the second layer. I was feeling a bit more confident at this point, and I found it quite a satisfying thing to do. I actually wondered if they also do this manually, or maybe they have a machine for it, but overall it was quite an amazing concept of a gel cream. I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. Let me know if you have any questions, and cheers for now.
Oh, Zandy, I enjoyed the tutorial. Also, you asked the right question. How do they fill it? I just keep getting fed brands talking about their launch of a capsule cream coming up, and then just them using machines to fill up the capsule cream. So the algorithm just brought me the answer. This is how they fill it up professionally. So if you're a small business and you do want to launch a product like this, obviously there's gonna be a lot of like stability testing that'll go into this, but I recommend getting a machine like this. And I actually ended up finding the exact company who sells the machine. They actually left a comment underneath this business's video. Tens Cosmetics Machinery. They're the ones who make this machine. I mean, I'm sure there's other companies that make these machines as well, but they're the ones I found. But yeah, let's go into the lab and try to make our own boba cream. I'm so excited. Welcome to the lab. Here's the ingredient list to the moisturizing hyaluronic acid capsule cream. I'm going with this one because it has the most minimal ingredients. And for this first go at formulating this capsule cream, I want to break it down to the least amount of ingredients as possible, because a lot of the ingredients that are in here are actives or stabilizers for those actives. I see niacinamide, allantoin, betaine, ceramide, hyaluronic acid, of course. And then there's other ingredients like aloe vera extract or other botanical extracts like eggplant extract. All of those ingredients we're not gonna be dealing with. Whenever I formulate a new to me product, or anytime you go to create a new to you product, I always recommend leaving out all the actives, even different humectants. Leave those out for now. I personally, in my opinion, I like to always stick with glycerin when I am experimenting with a new to me formula. Obviously, you do you. Glycerin is just the most inexpensive, and it's typically found in most products, even when that product might contain a handful of other humectants. The capsule cream is made up of two separate components. So essentially you need to formulate two separate products, and then we're gonna blend those together. So the first thing we wanna look at is the gelling formulation. So this is the gel that the capsules are going to be suspended in. There are certain gelling agents or thickeners that don't actually act as a suspending agent. So when creating this gel base, you want to make sure you're reaching for gelling agents that are suspending agents. I have went into detail over on my Patreon when it comes to water-based thickeners and oil-based thickeners. This is great when it comes to trying to suspend mica in formulations. And overall, suspension comes in handy when you're trying to keep something mixed into the formula that might otherwise not be soluble. But in this case, we are using it to encapsulate the moisturizing balls in the gel. When looking at this overall formula, this is obviously both phases blended into one. There are a number of different gelling agents I see. Here are all the gelling agents. Now, some of these gelling agents could be part of the gel phase, but also some of these gelling agents could possibly also be a part of the emulsion phase. That is the lotion balls that are encapsulated. These gelling agents are also commonly used in lotions to work as emulsion stabilizers. I have an entire video that deep dives into how to make emulsions. Emulsions are lotions, moisturizers, hair conditioners. So if you are unfamiliar with creating a lotion, I highly recommend watching this series so you can get a better understanding on how to create your own custom lotion. Otherwise, this exact formula will be over on my Patreon. That way you guys can just follow the directions step by step if you don't have experience. And sometimes just following someone else's formula is a great way to just experiment and get experience. So looking at these gelling agents, I actually do have a couple of them. Carbomer is the highest on the ingredient list. So let's go ahead and grab that first. I have the ingredient called sodium carbomer, and this is carbomer that's already been neutralized. So when you're formulating with carbomer, you have to raise the pH of your product to about 6 in order for it to start gelling. So if you add carbomer powder into water and it doesn't thicken, that means you most likely need to adjust the pH. Now with sodium carbomer, this is so much easier to use because it's already neutralized. So as soon as you add it into water, it starts gelling. Now, if this is all you have, this ingredient is enough to work as a suspending agent for the gelling phase. But they do use a handful of gelling agents. So I'm assuming they at least have 2 in this gel phase. And typically the more blends of gelling agents you have, you get a better sensory feel. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab the other gelling agent they use because I already have it. I didn't have to go out and buy it. Now here is the full name of the ingredient, but it also goes by Aristorflex ABC. So I'm going to use a blend of these 2 gelling agents to create the gel phase. Of course, we can't forget a preservative because this is water-based. Anytime you formulate, definitely got to add in a preservative. I'm going to use a preservative called Liquidermal Plus. Here is the inky name. It's the easiest preservative to use for beginners. You can add it right into the formula. You don't need to blend it with anything else. And then of course, we have the diluent, water. Don't believe people when they say water is just a filler ingredient. I mean, it kind of is, but it has to be there. It needs to be there to deliver all of the ingredients. It's like the bed that all the ingredients lie in together. Like there's nothing wrong with water. I don't know why people are complaining all the time that they have water in their products. Water is great for you. If brands are doing anything to fool you, it's probably marketing levels. It's when they say, oh, we have vitamin C in this product, but nowhere it specifies how much vitamin C. They could add just like a little dab of it and then sell it for more. That's more of what you need to be wary of. All right, and that's all we need. I'm gonna show you guys how we put it all together. Make sure you have a clean, sanitized beaker and you wanna add in your distilled water along with your preservative. Then mix everything together and create a vortex like this. You could also use a magnetic stir if you're creating larger batches, or even an overhead stir would work great for this. And then go ahead and just pour your gelling agents as you mix, and it will chunk up like this, but that is totally fine. Just cover it with plastic wrap and let it sit overnight. For the next phase of this product, we need to create a lotion. Again, I said this earlier, if you aren't familiar with making lotions, I recommend watching my Formulating Emulsions for Beginners series. A lotion is an emulsion. It's when you take oil and water, blend them together, and you use a ingredient called an emulsifier to keep them blended together because oil and water likes to separate. Typically emulsions, specifically lotions is what we're talking about. They use a blend of different emulsifiers. They can have high HLBs, low HLBs. Don't worry, you don't need to learn all about HLB if you don't want to. If you want to, I do have a video that talks all about it. This is for those of you who are more into the sciencey, nerdy aspect of formulation. They're using a blend of different emulsifiers in this lotion. The first two that stand out to me is cetyl olivate and sorbitan olivate. Now the reason those stand out to me is because they are both in this ingredient called Olivum 1000. You guys might be familiar with this. It's a common natural EcoCert compliant emulsifier, and it looks like they are using this in the formula. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab this, and this is gonna be our main emulsifier for our lotion. Now I also noticed they have cetyl alcohol in it. You could also use cetyl alcohol if you want. They're very, very similar. There's a lot of different fatty alcohols. These are not to be confused with drying alcohols. These are moisturizing alcohols. And look, I got some cetyl alcohol, so I'm gonna use this. I have an entire video over on Patreon that deep dives into different co-emulsifiers if you want to learn more about that. It goes along with my emulsions series. And then there is one other emulsifier, or I should say co-emulsifier, I notice in this formula, and that is glycerol stearate. Now, glycerol stearate is a low HLB emulsifier. I know I mentioned that earlier, but the reason I bring it up is because adding a low HLB emulsifier into a lotion could potentially reduce soaping. So Olivum 1000 does have a bit of a bad reputation in the skincare formulating community as causing soaping. So with my little brain of just assuming, I'm gonna go ahead and throw in some glycerol stearate into the formula to hopefully reduce that soaping that Olivum 1000 might experience. And also overall, it can help create a more stable formula. Okay, and one more important ingredient we need for this lotion are the lipids. So lipids are oil-based ingredients. This can be emollient esters like Caprylic, Carpric, Triglyceride, squalane, or natural oils like grapeseed oil, jojoba oil, or even butters. Anything that is like oil soluble are your lipids. I'm going to keep things simple and only use one for this experiment, and it is one that is found in their formula pretty high up, and that is Caprylic, Carpric, Triglyceride. Now the reason why this is one of the best ingredients to use in formulations is because it has a really long shelf life. Unlike natural oils like grapeseed oil or olive oil, those can actually go rancid pretty quickly, but this can keep your product shelf stable much longer, and you don't have to deal with that rancid smell that natural oils can have. And also, if you're someone just formulating at home, you might not go through your oil fast enough before it goes rancid. So that's why I'm a huge fan of having Caprylic, Carpric, Triglyceride, because it is shelf stable, it lasts a long time, I don't have to worry about using it up quickly, and I don't have to worry about it having that rancid smell, and you still get all the benefits of moisturization and stuff. And lastly, of course, we need a preservative. I'm gonna use the same preservative, and that is Liquid Dermal Plus, because it's super, super easy to use, especially for beginners. It's reliable, and since I'm formulating at home, I wanna make sure I have a really strong, good, broad spectrum preservative. Unlike a lot of natural preservatives, these just, they're not as strong, and they're a lot more finicky compared to a preservative like Liquid Dermal Plus. With natural preservatives, they can really change the pH up and down, and then that can destabilize your preservative. And also, since we're creating a new to me product, I wanna make sure I have a good, reliable preservative. I think once you have a good formulation down that you know is stable, you can then experiment with different, like if you wanna use a natural preservative, you can try to work that into the formulation to get it to work, because you already know you have a good base foundation. Also, it's really inexpensive, so if you do mess up formulating with your experiments, you're not wasting that much money. All right, let's get to formulating the lotion now. All right, you wanna make sure your beaker is sanitized and add in your distilled water. Then you wanna add in any of your other water-soluble, not heat-sensitive ingredients, so any ingredients that are safe to be heated. So I'm just adding in the glycerin. You can use whatever humectants you want and mix that together. Then in a separate sanitized container, you want to combine all your lipids. So I added in all of my emulsifiers, my co-emulsifiers, and the Caprylic Carpric triglyceride. Now you want to create a water bath to heat both of these phases up, and you want to get them roughly around the same temperature. 11,1000, you need to get it to 70 degrees Celsius and hold it there for a bit in order to get it to melt. Then once everything is heated and the lipids are all melted, remove your water phase, replace in any water that may have evaporated, and then go ahead and pour your water phase in your oil phase and immediately mix with an immersion blender. You need to make sure you have a high shear mixer for this. And then you just want to let it cool to around 100 degrees Celsius. You need it to be cool enough in order to add in the preservative because our preservative is heat sensitive. So I went ahead and added that preservative in, and then I let it sit overnight along with the gel we made earlier. Now, since it's the next day, I can go ahead and color these, and I decided to do blue. So here is the gel phase. I made blue with a water-soluble dye I got from Wholesale Supplies Plus. And then for the lotion, I used a different shade of blue just to add a bit of dimension, but you can do whatever colors you want. Now, here is where it gets a little tough and experimental. I decided to pour the lotion in a piping bag. And earlier you've seen Zandy use a piping bag to pipe the capsules. Well, I'm going to steal her idea, but upgrade it a little bit. I decided to use the piping bag to pipe in a syringe, specifically a syringe with a really fine point. And once you have your syringe filled, you want to almost like burp it a little bit, push out a little bit of that lotion so you have a good grip on it. Now, fill your jar about 3/4 of the way with gel, because as we pipe the boba balls in the gel, obviously it will take up space and it will fill up the jar more. So you don't need to fill up the gel all the way. And this is just going to take practice and patience. Essentially, just pipe the balls in the gel. I recommend actually starting from the side of the jar instead of the middle. The more you do this, the more methods you'll come up with that work for you. But yeah, I used a bit of a different method than Zandy. So if you want to try her method, do that, or try this method, whatever you want to do. Also, by the way, you want to make sure that this is filled to the top with gel. That way it keeps the boba balls encapsulated as best as possible. And if you move this jar around, the boba balls should not mix in with the gel. Mine has been sitting for over a week now, and I still don't see any blending of the two phases. And I have like shaken them around and stuff like that. But the more you use the product, eventually everything will mix in together. I did see some reviews that this is what happens when using the Medicube one as well. The more you use it, the more it's just gonna blend together. It's just the way it is. But yeah, it should be thick enough that you can tip them upside down and nothing falls out. You can tip them to the side. Yeah, overall, I think they look freaking awesome. It was fun to make, and they really feel amazing on my skin. A lot better than I thought. You just gotta make sure you're using gelling agents that feel gorgeous on the skin and not tacky. A lot of the influencers you'll see, they're applying it so many dots on their face. You really do not need that much product. Naturally, I figured these were more gimmicky products. Considering like how I was seeing influencers apply it, it just really seemed like another one of those foaming sunscreen type of products. Like, I do not want to apply that. It seems like a sensory nightmare. And also had these little infographics about how much of the gel to use and how much of the cream, capsule cream section to use for each skin type. And that made me realize, oh my gosh, okay, yeah, these influencers, they're applying way too much on their skin. And again, it's just for clicks and views and to sell the product. So yeah, don't be fooled. You really only need a small amount. Somebody with dry skin like me, use 1 part gel to 1 part capsule. Now, obviously the product I made at home is not their product. So we really can't compare the two to each other, but I think I did a really good job at recreating this. And honestly, I am pretty impressed with this product. It made me want to make more versions of it, which I did. I also formulated a brightening version for my Patreon for the month of March. The formula isn't up yet, but it will be later this month. The process of encapsulating them is honestly such a headache, but it makes for such a cool, unique looking product. And I really do see how making a product like this makes consumers want to purchase it and try it. It's the whole reason I recreated it myself. I wanted to try making it myself. So I really do think the methods of taking a product that people are already using and then finding new ways to repackage it to be a more visually appealing, looks good for socials, makes you want to stop scrolling experience. Like, this really seems to be a great way for brands to stand out. Nowadays, in the attention economy, people's attention spans are just so short now. And when you're scrolling and you see these boba balls all over somebody's face, you're just like, wait, what is this? I want to find out. And I kind of want to try it now, especially if they're all on sale on TikTok Shop. It makes it so easy to just try and buy when you're scrolling at 2 a.m. But realistically, is this some like new innovative type of product that you need to try that's going to transform your skin? No, it's just a moisturizer packaged in a unique way. And if you already have a moisturizer you love, keep using that moisturizer. You don't need to try these capsule creams. You can if you want for fun and if you have the money to spend, but it's always important to keep in mind that brands are going to constantly be pushing out new products and even use marketing gimmicks to make it seem like it's some new innovative technology. But realistically, it's still just another product that you really don't need in your skincare routine. It's really just SPF, a good moisturizer, which again, if this is the type of moisturizer you like, you know, you can switch to this if you want, because you do need a moisturizer every day. And then obviously a good cleanser. But the encapsulation of the actives, I can't really say for sure because I'm not a chemist if this whole encapsulation process really makes the actives more potent. But I will say any product that you are buying with actives in it should already be formulated in a way to keep those actives active for as long as the shelf life on that bottle. And brands will do methods like this by like putting the product in a dark bottle or making sure it's in an airless pump so oxygen just doesn't get it. But overall, any like vitamin C type of product or any product with any actives in it should be formulated in a way to where it is active long enough in order for it to last the shelf life on the bottle. But yeah, I want to know, have you tried the viral boba cream? Are you also seeing brands pumping out boba creams left and right? I've been seeing them everywhere. I've been seeing people like put straws in them and like, you know, make people want to stop scrolling by like making it look like they're drinking their product. But yeah, I did have a lot of fun making these. And if you make your own products at home, let me know if you try to recreate this. Let me know your thoughts. You guys want me to do another video like this? What else do you guys see going viral that you want me to talk about? All right, talk to you later.
Also, don't forget to go over and check out my Patreon, where I post 2 exclusive videos every single month. So there is a ton of videos you can go over and binge watch for only $5 a month. Also, if you don't have access to Patreon in your country, you can sign up as a YouTube member instead. If you sign up for the $10 tier on my Patreon, you get a shout out for your small business. I'll have all these brands linked below. naturesmagicllc.com. From Dusk Soapery on Etsy, LloydCandleCompany.com, HB Royal Retreat Store on Etsy, NaturesFarmGirl.com, Let's Blend LLC, at Stardust Bath and Body, HempyGirl.com, ShopLevi's.com, Owl and Lily over on Etsy, Skin Lounge Co. over on Etsy, BlackPetalBeauty.com, EmbraceBeautyEssentials.com, LegendaryBathAndBody.com, AstariApothecary.com, Reviga Cosmetics here on YouTube, XoreBB.com, PardoNaturals.com, NaturalStateSkin.com, TheNatureInUs.ca, NearCatalier.com. Use the code on the screen for 20% off. EarthAndAmberNaturals.com, SharkCityNaturals.com, DayToRelaxProducts.shop, Crowned Glory LLC.com, LH Scented Soaps and More.com, JanaeRose.com, Health Nut Beauty on Etsy, VelvetTemptations.com, JourneyRoseBeauty.com, CHRBrands.com, Homestead Life Goods on Etsy, CanellaBathandBody.com, MadhouseMamaSoaps.com, XPO.com, Mystical Morning on Etsy, allthingsscent.net, snoota.square.site, 7th House and Oak on Etsy, and mycrownandglowery.com. Thank you so much for you guys' support. Without you guys over on Patreon, I wouldn't be able to do what I do, so thank you so much.